sure you've all had the opportunity to inspect and fall in love with the property. Tonight will be your opportunity to own it. Before we proceed, let me introduce to you my colleagues among you in the crowd here tonight. They're here for your assistance, so should you require their advice, please feel free to approach or speak to Michael, Claudia, Paul, and of course George and Christina Ioannou, who no doubt you've had the great pleasure of meeting throughout the marketing campaign. Let me share with you the following announcements, which in place have you bidden by with absolute confidence here tonight. The auction will be conducted in accordance with the rules, and any additional conditions are made available for inspection before the start of the auction. The auction rules prohibit an auctioneer from accepting bids or offers for a property after the property has been knocked down to the successful bidder. The vendors have a reserve price as the auctioneer. I'll indicate bidders on request. The law prohibits false bids, prohibits making disruptions by bidders, and prohibits bidders attempting to prevent others from bidding, and provides for fines for such conduct. The rules permit for vendor bids. The words I'll use during the auction to indicate that I'm making a bid on behalf of the vendor are vendor bid, and by law only I, as the auctioneer, can make a vendor bid. The contract of sale has been on display prior to tonight's auction. We call for a 10% deposit upon the fall of the hammer, and the signing of that contract to take place here tonight, with the balance to be paid at settlement in 30 to 60 days' time, which time the vendor will provide the lucky buyer with vacant possession of the property. All in all, it's quite a straightforward document. Everything's in there. Everything's quite clear. Buyers, it's with my highest recommendation what we offer for your consideration and competition here tonight in George Street, the very, very heart of Reservoir. Hardly gets more central in Reservoir than George Street. Easy access to absolutely everything you need for a great lifestyle, everything that you need for great convenience and great capital growth. Edward Street, obviously just a stone's throw away, as is Broadway shopping and High Street shopping, Reservoir Station. The list goes on and on, everything at your fingertips. So a great opportunity for the first time buyer among us here tonight, a great opportunity for the investor, a great opportunity perhaps to drive out tonight, get the sold sticker up there on the board. If you'd like to take advantage and reserve that right, now is the time to do just that. Buyers, where can I see a fair and reasonable starting bid for 337.39, George? Who'd like to start us off? I don't mind the call. A bit of an intimate setting.
490.
At 490,000. Welcome and best of luck here tonight. 490,000. The bid's here. Am I right? At 490 the bid. At 490,000. Fairly been offered now. At 490 I have. At 490,000. At 490,000. Fairly been offered. Bid here at 490 the bid. For the first call at 490,000, are we done? At 490,000. Second call at 490. All done, finished. At $490,000 a bid. Bid here for the third and final call at 490,000. If you've come to buy, this is your moment, your time. There's a
491.
I'm not taking one, so I'll take 10 in the rise. If it helps at 490,000, I'll move along with a vendor bid at 10, then at 500. Invite you back in now for 510 if you like. At $500,000 the bid. At $500,000 the bid, looking for 10 on top at 500 the bid at 10 got now. At 510,000. At 510,000, fairly been offered now at 510 the bid. At 510,000, there's the bid, there's the competition, the opportunity with you all. Got to be 10 on top. At 510,000. At 510,000, fairly been offered now. 510 the bid. First call at 510, are we all done? At 510,000, second call at 510, done, finished. At $510,000 a bid for the third and final call at 510,000, all done, finished.
511.
I'm taking 10, so I appreciate your interest here tonight, but I am calling for 10 in the rise at 510,000. It's got to be 20. Put yourself in a strong position. Take the lead at 520 if you like, but 10 the lead you now at $510,000 the bid. At $510,000 once at 510. At 510,000 twice at 510. Third, final call at $510,000 the bid. All done, finished, sold and out at 510. I'm going to confirm that bid at 510. You just bear with me one moment. I do need to seek some instructions and I'll be back momentarily. Thank you. Well, buyers, thanks for your patience at 510,000. The bid is here at 510. The bid. I have fresh instructions for the vendor, a reduction in the reserve price in a bid to get the job done here tonight. Get the sold sticker up on the board. If you've come to buy, now is the time to show me your interest at 510,000. The bid's here. The rights to negotiate exclusively with the vendor here. That means that in the absence of any further bidding, we will only deal with the highest bidder. The highest bidder will have the first exclusive and the only right to negotiate with the vendor at their reserve. What that means to any other buyer in the room here tonight is that if you do have interest in the property or do want to make an offer, we cannot entertain that interest or that offer. That right belongs exclusively with the highest bidder, which is here at the moment. So 510,000 if you come to buy. Show me now at $510,000 a bid for the first call at 510. Are we done?
515.
At 15, I'm sure I was trying to get you involved. So 515,000, welcome and best of luck here tonight. 515 the bid. At 515, the same courtesy at 5 if you like. At 515 at 10 now, 525. At 525,000, fairly been offered now. 525 the bid. At 525,000, the 5 still good with me. So if you've got a 10's better though. At 525 at 5 1/4 now. At 525 the bid. At 525,000, fairly been offered now. Can't buy with one bid here tonight. 525,000. At 525 the bid for the first call at 525, all done. At 525,000, second call at 525, done, finished. At $525,000 a bid.
530.
At 30 now, 530, welcome back on top at 30. At 530,000, the bid back there at 30. At 530,000 to 35 now, 535. At 535,000, got the competition down to 5. At 535,000, fairly been off now, 35. At 535,000, bid here, my right, your left against you at 35. At 535,000, got to be at least 40 in the rise. At 535 now, first call at 535,000, all done. At 535,000, second call done, finished, 535 the bid. Third, final call at 535. I thought you were about to say something there, sir. At 535,000 bid here. At
540.
At 40 now. At 540,000. 540,000 now, fairly been offered. Took the words out of my mouth at 40 now, 540. I will take 2.5 short of my stride again. We're close to 42.5, and the same courtesy at 2.5 if you like. At 542,500, fairly been offered now. At 542.5. At 542,500, bid here. At 542.5. At 542,500.
45.
At 45 now, 545 and the 2.5 still good with me. At 545, fairly been offered now, 545,000. At 545 the bid. At 1. At 545 and 6. At 546, I will take that one if you've got it now, sir. At 6, at 546 and 7 now, 547. At 547,000, back on top with 147. At 547,000, fairly been offered. How about round me off to 50? At 547 the bid. At 547,000, fairly been offered. Heart of Reservoir at 547. At 549 now, 549, just shy of 5.5. At 549,000, fairly been offered, back in front at 49. At 549 the bid. At 549,000, first call at 549, all done. At 549,000, second call at 549, done, finished. Maybe time for a big bid, sir. At 549,000, bid here. At 549, third and final call. At 549,000.
51.
At 51. At 551 the bid now. At 551,000 bid now by left or right, man. Against you. Been with me from the very start. Don't leave me just yet. At 551 the bid. At 551,000. Fairly been offered now. 551.5. at 551 and a half now. At 52, sir, at 552, at 552,000, at 52 and a half now, 552,500 now, at 552 and a half in the bids here, at 552 and a half, first call at 552 and a half and 53, at 553,000, back here, my left, your right, 53 now, at 553,000, fairly been offered now, 553 the bid, first call at 553, done. Second call at 553,000, done, finished, third. Final call at 553, done, finished, silent out at 53. So can I confirm that bid at 553?
Confirmed.
Bear with me one more moment to see quick instructions. I'll be back momentarily again. Thank you.
Just like I said, we can sit on it for 24 hours. We're pretty clinical about that.
Yeah, that's fair enough, but I mean, $2,000, even some stop looking.
We're over what we want to spend. Like I said, there's quite a big pipeline of stuff coming through, so I'm not to be very dispassionate.
Oh, at the back.
That's fine. If you guys hear this, we're very close. It's very emotional. It sounds like this well. We're completely unemotional. Yeah, no, I get it. I'm 2 grand away. Get her on the money. 60. Look, I think with the benefit of a good sleep, I think as I said, we've done this a few times. Not pretty relaxed. I think with others, it's fair.
Alright, cool. I'll have another chat with him. See if I can get on the market for you guys. Alright.
Well, guys, thank you very much for your patience. One more time, so at 553,000 at 553. Pleased to announce that we are on the market. We sell here tonight. If you've come to buy, green means sell. We're selling away. Bid me now or forever hold your peace at $553,000 the bid. For the first call at 553, are we done? Second call at 553, done, finished. For the third and final call at $553,000 a bid, done, finished, silent out at 553, and we'll have your absolute best here tonight. We're definitely done. On the market and selling now, we're playing for keeps, definitely done.
Done.
Thank you very much for your participation here tonight at 553,000. First, second, third, final call, all done, finished, silent out. We are selling. Sold. Congratulations, sir. Well done.